Hello lovebirds, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, I know I've been a little MIA on this platform, but I've had some exciting developments in my personal life, which I will be updating you on quite soon, I think, but not just yet. So today it's just going to be a fun get ready with me, and we are going to test out a new palette, which isn't brand new. I'm a little late to the party, but I'm very excited to be testing out this one. It's the Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet palette, and you know, I'm a big fan of violet, so this was a definite go-to for my very first YouTube video back. So let's get started. I'm just going to walk you through every step I'm going to do. So let's get started with skin. So first up, I'm going in with the Becca First Light Primer Filter. Now let's see what this does, because I haven't tested it out yet, but it was a very pretty violet color, so I had to go with this one. It smells really great, and I cannot determine what it is I'm smelling. It's such a familiar smell, but my brain is completely fogged out today. As you can see, it is leaving my skin beautifully radiant, but that also usually means that I want to go in with a lighter coverage. So let me go find a good foundation for this. Okay, I'll be going in with the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Foundation in light number 3, if I'm correct, a medium deep 22. Now, don't ask me how I got this combination, but mixing them together does leave my skin exceptionally stunning. So I'm going in with mainly this one and a tiny drop of that one. Alright, so this foundation is probably a buildable, but it's actually light to full. Depending on how many layers you will apply, it is a beautiful foundation. I'm also using the Pat McGrath Labs foundation brush, so that application is just a tiny bit smoother. Now, the texture of this foundation is ultra light. It feels quite watery. It doesn't feel like it's sticking on the skin that much, but it does leave your skin beautifully radiant without covering up any freckles or any birthmarks, that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is a new favorite of mine. Then dabbing a little extra under the eye, just to get a bit more coverage right there, and I'll leave concealer for later on. Now, because I don't know how this palette is going to act, and I don't know how the texture is, if it's going to create fallout or something, I'm going to continue on with eyes first and then finish up skin later, because if something like that does tend to happen, then it's a much easier cleanup in the end. So I'm going in with the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion, and I'm going to prime the lids for the eyeshadow application. Alright, I'm going to give the eyelid a good coat and dab that in with my fingers. Right, then let's take a look at the palette itself. So we've got a nice arrangement of some warmer transition shades, like right over here. Then there's a multi-chrome eyeshadow right here in the middle, that's called VR. Then a nice minty green, just to fluff things up, I guess. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exceptional purple violet shades. And then one darker shade, which is kind of a grayish brown. For now, I'm gonna go in with the shade Euphoric. And I think I'm gonna be doing something like a graphic shape. So I'm going to go in with a flat brush. This is a 239S by MAC Cosmetics. Ooh. This just aligns up so well with my backdrop on my top. I probably love the most about this color is that it has that perfect lavender shimmer in it, which gives it that really fresh feel, because some purples can just look a little too unhealthy. I don't know, I really love dual tones, and this just works magically. As you can see, there is a tiny bit of fallout, so make sure that you pat the eyeshadows onto the primer. Now, I have to admit, I am grabbing onto quite a lot of eyeshadow, just because I want to have it as opaque as I can. Oh, that violet shimmer really just does the trick, doesn't it? Now I'm going to grab onto a detailer brush just to make sure that I get all of my edges nice and crisp. So I'm going in with the Refer number 3, one of my absolute favorite brushes, and just sketch out all of the edges. Make sure this is nicely rounded out, for example. I also kind of want to see what happens if I wet the eyeshadow. So I'm going in with the Airbrush Flawless Filter Setting Spray by Charlotte Tilbury and see if I can use the eyeshadow wet as well. That just gives me the opportunity to be much more precise about the way I place my eyeshadow. I'm going to use the My Kitco On Point Mini Buds, if I'm correct, to sharpen up the shape where I want it to go. So for example here, I would like to lift it a little bit more and have it less as a rounded shape, but something that goes all the way upwards. And then this, I want that to go down a bit more. Alright, so I'm just laying the finishing touches on this makeup. So I had a little dip here that I wanted to fix. And it does work much better with a wet brush. And I just keep the wet part of the eyeshadow into one little corner so that I can also use it dry when I want to. Alright, then it's time to go to the bottom lash line. Now I'm just going to start off with a wet brush because I don't see why I should do it dry, because I want to keep the shape quite graphic. So I'm going to wet the brush, dip it into my eyeshadow, and then we're just going to lay it on the bottom, connecting it to that little inner corner tip that we've already created. Now with a magnifying mirror, I'm going to check if the bottom line of that color is really nice and neat. Then I'm going to create a second wing that will go quite straight. Now, I often find that with colours that are so girly like this, or maybe a bit princessy, that I really love to go for a more graphic shape or something that has a little bit of an edge or a little bit of rock and roll to it. So that second wing is definitely giving it a little bit more of a rock and roll vibe. Now to make this look a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun, I'm going to play around with the other colours in this palette. So I'm thinking about using Lucid, and I'm thinking about using this more pinky shade called Warning. So I'm going to grab another one of those Refer number 3 brushes. So I'm going to wet this brush as well. I'm going to go into Lucid. So with this Lucid shade, I'm going to be intensifying the inner corner and blending it into that beautiful violet. Now I'm going to grab onto a MAC Cosmetics 221S, which is a nice detail shader blender brush. I'm going to dip into that Warning shade, which is slightly more fuchsia, and then I'm going to apply that onto the upper brow bone kind of area, just to give it a hint of that fuchsia. Now that's not doing much dry, so I'm wondering if I might have to go in with a wet brush again. Luckily I've got a lot of these detailer brushes, so I'm going to wet this one again and then dip it into Warning. There's just a hint of colour there, especially if I look down, then it's more visible than when I'm just applying it. And it's probably because if I'm looking at it, it's got that same little lavender kind of shimmer to it. There it is. Got my eyeshadow in place, so it's time for mascara. Now, I'm using the new mascara by Urban Decay called Lash Freak, and it has such a peculiar wand, but it's just got the applicator on the one side, and I'm very curious to find out how this will work. So I've already curled my lashes, so now it's application time. Ooh. Oh. Okay. You all know how much I love a volumizing mascara, so this is going surprisingly well. I actually really love this applicator. I just figured something out. There's this little teeny tiny brush on the other side. I think that's meant for your lower lashes, which is perfect. Or for like little detailers, like the inner corners of the eyes. I'm going to give this first layer a little moment to dry, and then I'll brush it up again with a second layer, seeing how that will work. I'll just get started on the second eye so that the first eye has a little bit more time. Do you see how black that is? and how much volume it already packs on in that first layer. Alright, I'm going in with my second layer. Slowly but steadily, I am expanding my collection of favorite mascaras, which is a great thing because I've been using the same one for years now, and it was so difficult to find one that could actually match my favorite. But this is definitely going on the favorites list right now. Just to make sure that the lash line looks absolutely intensely black, I'm going in with the Pat McGrath Extreme Black Permagel Ultra Glide Eye Pencil. Then let's try the other side, that little tiny bobbly thing on the other side for the lower lashes. Now it's high time to start finishing up this skin. So I'm going to go in with a beauty blender just to make sure that the whole bottom layer, the foundation, the Pat McGrath foundation, is on great. I can blend out anywhere where I might have placed a finger here or there and just unify that base layer. It definitely helps minimize any pores or any texture you might have. I'm going in with the Bobbi Brown Instant Full Cover Concealer, and I am going to use the color Sand first off to just get rid of any of the red spots and any of the darker tones. So this one is a tad bit darker. And then I'm going to go in with the color Warm Ivory just to highlight certain areas. Alright, so I'm just going to place a few dots since this concealer is very thick in consistency. I'm just going to place it onto the parts where I need it most and then just blend it out. Alright, I'm going in with a blending brush first of all, just to distribute the product. And then dab it into the skin with a beauty blender. Now, this will definitely hide anything you want, especially when it comes to blemishes. It's an amazing concealer. And then it's also creamy enough for the under eye area, so it's not drying. It doesn't really get that crackly kind of vibe. So now I'm just going to use the beauty blender to press the product into the skin, blend it out all nicely. Now the one downside to a beauty blender is that it will pick up a little bit of that product that you've already applied, so you might need to go in with a second layer just to get everything that you wanted. But texture-wise, it is the best solution. Let's get on to the lighter shade. Alright, now because I have quite deep under eye circles, I tend to apply a lighter shade of concealer just to optically fill that in. I'm going to do this just with the brush because otherwise I will be distributing the product too wide and too far apart, and I want it to be concentrated in a specific place. So this side is going to be instantly more smooth. See what that does? It completely optically vanishes those under eye circles. And I've got a full video on this, so if you want to know more about it, go to my cream contour and non-touring video, because there I have a little bit more information. I'm going to go in with a flat lip brush, and I'm going to grab onto a little bit of concealer and straighten out all of those shapes that we've created before, but make them appear even more straight than they were. It's storming now, which is great. I'm going to continue with contour because I do want to chisel out these cheekbones a tad bit more. So I'm going in with Intuition Inner Glow Cream Pigment by Rituel de Fille. Now, one of the things that I always look for in a contour is that it is shadowy enough, so it doesn't contain too much warmth. And this one is just perfect. So I'm going to continue by placing that with my middle finger on my hollows, right there. There, just going to dab my beauty blender over that, make the transition seamless. I'm going to grab onto a flat eyeshadow brush. This is the D240 by Kazette, and I'm just going to use this one to give my nose a little bit of a tip. I'm going to continue with the by Terry Glow Expert Duo Stick, and I'm going to use that as my bronzer and my blush. And I'm going to grab a smaller brush from Jack's Beauty line and just grab a bit of that pink blush from the other side. I'm going to place that a little higher up. Now, to powder off, I'm going to go in with the Becca Hydra Mist Set and Refresh Powder, which is amazing. It actually feels quite cool on the skin. Thank God it has a really good cap, and because it's been rolling around in my kit, it actually already contains quite a bit of powder on the top. So I'm gently going to dip it in, tap off the excess. Then I'm going to place the setting powder right along that line. It feels wet. That is what it is. It feels like it's wet powder. So just to specify, I'm not baking at all. I'm just using the Beauty Blender to press it in like you would with a powder puff, for example. And I'm mainly concentrating on the T-zone of the face because I really love to keep the glow on the outer perimeters. Now for lips, I'm going to go in with a new product that I actually haven't tested out yet. So this is the Fenty Pro Kisser Luscious Lip Balm in Latte Lips. Let's just see how this... Oh, I thought it was going to be a squeezy thing, but it's not. Ooh, this actually looks so similar to my natural lip tone. That's insane. Whenever I do a look that's so graphic and so electric and out there and colourful, I really love to keep the lips on the down low. So you can actually use a lip liner to make your lips appear a bit more full, but for me personally, that makes me feel like a bit of a porn star. For highlighter, I want to keep it really nice and in these rosy kind of colours. So I'm going to go in with the Surratt. Keep forgetting the name, and there's never a sticker on here, but I'll put it down below right here what the name is. But it's a beautiful pinky highlighter. So I'm just going to gently grab a little bit of that product and then dab it onto the high point of the cheekbone. A little bit on the bridge of the nose. Now, could do a bit on there and a bit on there. There you have it. Now let's spray this baby with a little bit of setting spray. Again, concentrating on the outer perimeters to keep that glow going there, but keep this as smooth and as flawless looking as we can. There. There. Well, there you go, loves. The finished result using the Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet palette. I really enjoyed this one because I just sat down and just played with makeup like I would when I would do my 60-second videos on Instagram. And that is kind of what I enjoyed the most. But instead of that, I just talked my way through it. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want more kind of videos like this where I just do a look with a specific palette, then let me know. If you want to follow me on social media, I'll put my Instagram handle down below. And yeah, see you next time. Bye!